Good evening and welcome to my end of the week recap here for Apple and trade plan for next week. Old notes that were on here. Most important one is this 200 call level I was watching for a breakout. Did not take that position. Would have worked out extremely well and finished the day $4 in the money. Was just focused on some other names this week, so I did completely miss that. Later in the day here on Tuesday was when the Qualcomm settlement news came out. I was looking at the 197.5 calls. I was alerting the guys in the trade crew chat room. I wanted them at 310. Didn't quite get there. Some of the guys got in around 320, 330. Those are now over $6 in the money. Congratulations if you held. That's a phenomenal trade right there. Also off of my 8 EMA. Wednesday wasn't focused on Apple again. You can see this wide range bar. Once it broke out, was a nice opportunity to go ahead and look for a breakout, which is what I did. I took these 202 and a halves at 74. They actually stopped me out here at 64. My stop was way too close. I was on a lower time frame than I should have been. Those finished $1.50 in the money for the week. It's nice to see that I know what I'm looking at on the chart, but my stops are getting too tight. So I got to keep that in mind moving forward. Thursday, looked like we're going to have a breakout very similar to what had happened a few days ago. We had this prior seller's peak 197.70. I expected a move similar to this. Once it took out that level, it rallied over $2 more to high of day um, before even putting in a topping candle the next day. So that was a similar move I was looking for. Break above this 202.85. I was mentioning this basically back here that if price action started to rally up higher, it would be just like what Facebook has done and create a short squeeze. Once you peak over where sellers should obviously be, they're going to be forced to cover. So that's probably what's going to happen on Monday for Apple. If there's a strong move above this 204.30 area, maybe I'll take a small breakout. But ideally, I want to see a pullback to the 8 EMA, which takes me to my trade plan. I will take 200 calls here at the 8 EMA. I'm looking at 195 calls with some time here at the 21. Now that may change to 197 halves depending on where it opens up next week. 200 SMA, I'm looking at 195 calls with a month of time, and this 50 SMA, I'm looking at 185 calls with 4 weeks of time. So got all my levels there that I'm watching. Hopefully, if nothing else is moving, I can focus on Apple and get into some decent swing positions. Real quick here, I want to touch on a historical chart here for the daily time frame for Apple. I went back all the way to the 80s and found each and every time there was a golden cross. Looks like I missed one here. Golden cross is simply a bullish crossing of the 50 SMA moving above the 200. The majority of them ended up working out bullishly over the next 6 to 8 months, and the ones that really worked out, they just took off and ran without looking back. Now back here, prior to Apple actually becoming an established company and investors having faith in the company, making money, and continuing to make money, there was a lot of chop. As you can see, it would go up, it would come down, go up, come down, and then finally it would start to pick up some momentum and come all the way back down, create another cross, and so on and so forth. But anyways, in recent history, since the 2000s, the majority of these trades have worked. You can see this one here in 2002, this one in 2003, 2006. They've all worked extremely well until you get to the housing crisis years of 2008. And finally, in 2009 was the last significant cross, in my opinion, for a long time. So right now, we're about to have another bullish golden cross here. Historically, for Apple, the ones that set up similar to this have had very nice moves going into the future, and I can realistically expect a new all-time high for Apple within the next 12 months. So for that reason, I'm actually going to start looking for trades in the January 2021 calls. Probably for around 250 strike calls, something to that effect, and we'll see what happens with that going forward. And any dips or pullbacks I will add to it. Right now, they are pretty expensive. 250 calls are bid 1065, offer 1120. So we'll start small and add into it as necessary, but it looks to me like stats are on my side, the history is on my side, and I don't see Apple going anywhere. Only downside is I think Tim Cook needs to come out with some sort of advancement for Apple. create something new, in my opinion, and be a huge boost for Apple as a company. So for now, those are my thoughts and trade plan going forward for Apple. One more thing to touch on, the monthly time frame. There's not really too much to look at here. Very strong move that's starting to reclaim, or has already started to reclaim, a lot of the late 2018 sell-off. The weekly time frame is what most interests me. These price levels I have on here, this is from November. We've reclaimed the bottom of this battle bar, this battleground area where there was a lot of indecision. Now we've reclaimed the bottom. I can realistically expect a test at the very least of this 210. Now we come up to here, probably going to run into some supply, maybe pull back down here 205 to 200 area, test these lows again before rallying higher. But that's just a little bit of thinking out into the future. And for now, I'll continue to trade these Apple day to day as opportunities present themselves. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them down below and come join me over the Trade Crew chat room. It is a free chat. Enjoy your Easter weekend with your families and good luck on Monday.